There is something moving behind the scenes in Foxborough, and it does not feel like regular off-season noise. The Patriots came out of the Super Bowl wounded, but not weakened. The rest of the league sees the loss. Inside the building, it feels like the conversation is different. Protect Drake Maye, fix the right areas, and come back even more dangerous. And today, we have a strong signal on the offensive line, a major offensive target, a rookie starting to turn heads, and a tight end move that feels smart. Hit that like button and stay with me because this has real behind-the-scenes heat. The detail a lot of people miss is this: optimism in New England does not come from pretty talk. It comes from correction. And when CBS Sports' Brian Diardo points to the Patriots' offensive improvement as a reason to believe, he is hitting the exact nerve that got exposed against Seattle. Drake Maye took far too many hits for a quarterback who was already carrying far too much. The Patriots allowed 47 sacks during the season, then 21 more in the playoffs. That is not just some ugly stat. That changes how you call plays. It limits reads. It throws off route timing. It forces the quarterback to feel rushed, even when the pocket should still be alive. If you follow Foxborough, you know it. This offense got far. It reached the Super Bowl, but it got there while holding parts of its own ceiling together with tape. And Maye still kept this team right in the middle of the conversation. So when the Patriots do not sit still, I take that as an internal message. Will Campbell needs to bounce back after a rough 2025? Absolutely. But this franchise is not just standing around and hoping everything magically fixes itself. Trading up to draft Caleb Lomu at pick 28 shows the offensive line has become a survival issue. And bringing in Elijah Vera from the Jets on a 3-year deal adds another kind of body, experience, and versatility in front of Maye. That is the kind of move that may not look flashy to everybody, but inside a serious building, it matters. Because if the Patriots want to get back to the Super Bowl, the first question is not about shine. It is about protection. Maye has already proved he can produce in an imperfect setup. Now the franchise has to let him play less hero ball just to keep every drive alive. And that is where the other behind-the-scenes piece gets electric: A.J. Brown. Diardo mentioned the expectation that New England could go after the Eagles receiver after June 1, and that fits the same idea. It is not enough to give Maye more time. You also have to give defenses something they actually fear. Romeo Doubs helps, no doubt about it, but Brown would bring a different temperature. He is the kind of weapon who changes coverage before the snap and makes defensive coordinators sleep a little worse. If that move happens, the message to the AFC gets heavy. The Patriots are not just trying to get back to the stage, they are trying to return with an offense that does less surviving and more attacking. But building a roster that can fight for the top is not just about chasing one massive market splash. A.J. Brown may be the name that sets the fan base on fire, and I completely understand why. But inside the halls of a team that truly wants to win, smaller problems on paper can become huge problems in January. And tight end number 2 fits right into that category. Hunter Henry is back, and his connection with Drake Maye does not need a defense anymore. Maye trusts him. On third down, in the red zone, on quick reads against pressure, Henry gives you that solid ground feeling. The issue is what comes after him. Julian Hill, Eli Raridon, and C.J. Dupree may all have paths. They may develop. They may earn roles. But if we are talking about a team trying to get back to the Super Bowl, can you rely only on projection behind your starter? I do not think so. That is why Jonnu Smith's name grabs my attention. ESPN's Matt Bowen listed the former Patriot as the 12th best free agent still available, and his description hits something New England could really use: movement, alignment versatility, and yards after the catch. Bowen noted that Smith had 38 catches in Pittsburgh and that 68.4% of his career receiving production has come after the catch. That is not a little detail for an offense trying to take pressure off Maye with easy throws that become real gains. I know some fans are going to roll their eyes, and honestly, they have a reason. Jonnu's first run in Foxborough did not come close to matching that 4-year, $50 million contract. He finished with 55 catches on 83 targets, 539 yards, and 1 touchdown before being traded to Atlanta. But let's be honest about the context too. Judging any offensive piece from that era like the environment was stable is not really fair. This Patriots team is not that Patriots team. Drake Maye is not Mac Jones, and Mike Vrabel knows Jonnu from their Tennessee days, where the fit made a whole lot more sense. After leaving New England, Smith rebuilt his value, including a Pro Bowl season with 8 touchdowns in Miami in 2024. In Pittsburgh, he dropped to 222 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he was also stuck in a crowded room with Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington getting touches. With SpotTrack projecting his market value at $7.3 million, This would not be a desperate move. It would be a calculated attempt to buy a familiar tool at a reasonable price for the possible impact in a motion-based package. To me, that is the kind of behind-the-scenes move that separates a good-looking roster from a functional one. If Henry misses time, who controls the middle of the field? If the defense doubles your top receiver, who becomes the outlet? Jonnu may not be the headline that breaks the internet, but he could be the adjustment that keeps a drive alive when the season starts getting tight. And you know what kind of story makes rookie minicamp feel like a real competition? A name without the big brand, coming from outside the traditional radar, making reporters turn their heads at practice. Kyle Dixon arrived in Foxborough from Culver Stockton, out of the NAIA level, but the Patriots did not treat him like just another camp invite. More than $250,000 guaranteed for an undrafted rookie. The third largest UDFA deal in franchise history. That already told you somebody inside the building saw something. Then came the media open practice on Saturday, and the signal got louder. Taylor Kiles of Patriots CLNS called Dixon the best player on the field. Mike Giardi of Boston Sports Journal also highlighted the receiver after 4 catches in an 11-on-11 period, with passes coming from 7th-round quarterback Baron Morton. Giardi mentioned a post route and said that in a real game, a defender might have been able to put a hard hit on him, but the point is simple. Dixon caught the football. And in rookie minicamp, when so many players are still thinking more than playing, that matters. Now let's breathe for a second, because this is where a lot of narratives get lost. Minicamp without pads does not make anybody a starter. The real test comes in July, in the heat, with contact, special teams, depth chart battles, veteran defensive backs, and all that beautiful training camp chaos. But I like the profile of the bet. Dixon ran a 4.46 in the 40 at Missouri's Pro Day, jumped 10 feet 11 inches in the broad jump, and posted a 40.5-inch vertical. He is 25, yes, older for a prospect, but part of that comes from his background as a former Division I college baseball player. So no, this is not a normal path. But it is also not just some random athlete stumbling into an opportunity. The roster context makes it even more interesting. The Patriots did not draft a wide receiver for the first time since 2020, and that opens the door for an undrafted rookie to become a fan conversation. Still, Kyle's projected New England keeping 6 receivers, not even counting a possible trade for A.J. Brown, and he still listed Dixon as a developmental option or practice squad candidate. That is the cold reality. His path to the roster probably runs through special teams and a nearly perfect summer. But here is one thing I have learned following this team. Foxborough loves turning the back end of the roster into a fan debate, and Dixon has exactly that kind of flavor. Strong UDFA contract, athletic explosion, unlikely background, good hands showing up early. Drop a comment. Would you put Kyle Dixon on the 53-man radar right now, or would you wait until the pads come on before buying in? Because I am not crowning anybody yet, but I am paying attention. And when a receiver keeps the ball off the ground in an offense trying to grow around Maye, yes, we pay attention. And this last story almost works like an answer to the Jonnu Smith conversation, because the Patriots seem to be looking at tight end in 2 different speeds. One is the veteran who could help right now. The other is Eli Raridon, the 3rd-round pick out of Notre Dame, with the kind of behind-the-scenes praise that does not sound like empty prospect talk. Mike Denbrock, his offensive coordinator at Notre Dame, told ESPN that Raridon has been carrying himself for a long time with the attitude, structure, and understanding of a professional life at a rare level. That gets my attention because tight end in the NFL is not just about running pretty routes. It is details, alignment, blocking, reading coverage, adjusting against blitzes, having the patience to do the dirty work, and being mature enough to become reliable when the quarterback needs an answer. And Denbrock went even further. He said Raridon kept getting better and better, that his best football looks like it is still ahead of him, and he pointed out that 2025 was the first time he truly took over the responsibility of that room at Notre Dame. As a senior, he had 32 catches for 482 yards. Those are not video game numbers, but they do not need to be. What matters for New England is the profile. A tight end with a real frame, blocking value, safety valve ability, and experience becoming a quarterback's trusted target. That last part is huge. Denbrock said Raridon became almost like a best friend for young starting quarterback C.J. Carr as the season went on, because he was someone the quarterback could count on. Now put that idea in Foxborough. Drake Maye already has Hunter Henry as a trusted piece. But imagine if Raridon grows slowly, learns the pro rhythm, adds strength, understands NFL spacing, and starts becoming that intermediate target who does not need to be wide open by 3 yards to win the play. That changes the comfort level of the offense. Of course, the physical history cannot be ignored. Raridon tore the ACL in his right knee in high school, then tore that same ACL again as a freshman at Notre Dame. That slowed his path and explains why he only really became a full-time starter in his final season. Hope does not erase concern, but concern does not cancel talent either. Taylor Kyles of CLNS Media even floated a big ceiling, saying that by year 3 or 4, he could see Raridon becoming a Pro Bowl quality player and maybe even knocking on the All-Pro door at some point. Is that high? Absolutely. But when you combine the Notre Dame pedigree, the coach's praise, the rookie contract already signed, and a role New England needs to develop, you can understand why the building might be excited. Raridon does not need to be a star tomorrow. He needs to stay healthy, learn from Henry, and turn potential into trust. If that happens, the Patriots may have found more than depth, they may have found a future piece. At the end of the day, this whole script points to the same behind-the-scenes conversation. The Patriots know they got close, but they also know where they bled. The line has to protect Maye better. The offense needs a weapon that forces defenses to back up. Jonnu Smith would be a smart answer for specific snaps. Kyle Dixon is the kind of name that can turn an open practice into a real roster battle. And Eli Raridon is a project with ceiling, risk, and patience all involved. New England is not building decoration, it is building answers. If you want to track every move in this new Foxborough chapter, subscribe to the channel, because the season has already started in the details.